Right. Hi, my name's Nate and I am going to be presenting my final project, which is a short film documentary about women in drum and bass. So I need to look at this because it's very small. I suppose the first question I need to answer would probably be why this subject, and the reason I chose it was because obviously I'm very passionate, as you probably know, about the music industry, particularly drum and bass. It's something that I've been involved in for quite a long time in my life, and I feel like female representation is something that is quite an important subject in that at the moment. So I wanted to kind of get a perspective from, you know, the artists and the people that run the brands that are involved, and the women that are coming up. I wanted to know their perspective and whether they had obstacles, whether it was, you know, how they think the representation is, if it is getting any better, is there any better equality? So that's why. So it's obviously it's women drum and bass. There hasn't really been, up until like the last 5 years, there hasn't been a major female presence. If you were to ask anyone, for example, I spoke to Andy about it when I was coming up with the idea, and he immediately said there's women in drum and bass. So I felt like that just gave me more of a need to kind of go with this. Major female personalities have arisen in all areas of drum and bass over the last 5 years, which made it more kind of easier for me to plan. I had a couple of people in mind that I wanted to interview, particularly one major female artist, which didn't actually work out in the end. But a couple of female-led brands, female-led record labels and stuff. So I had kind of a real foundation for my plan to be able to push it. So this was what I kind of gave myself. I had 72 hours, 5 interviews and just 1 camera. So it was literally just going to be me in Bristol with the people that I wanted to interview, a couple of studios and just me and a camera and making it work. And I had a tripod, had some mics, and yeah, that was how I wanted to get it to happen. Obviously, to make this happen, I had to plan. I had to find out where I wanted to do it, which I just said was Bristol. Find out who I wanted to interview, how I intended to achieve that. I wanted to do it over the course of 1 weekend rather than having to do multiple different filming. I wanted to, you know, I was going to do a couple of people here, but I thought if I could just get it all done in 1 weekend, then I don't need to worry about, I have more time to do the editing, more time to polish it off and make it look really pretty. One of the main points I think I needed and I still need is my research. There's no point in having all these interviews if you haven't got facts and figures to back it up, especially when you're doing like it in an interview kind of documentary setting. So I wanted to get some really quantitative information, which I did through the use of a survey. I created a survey and I expected like maybe 10 to 15 responses. I ended up with 603 responses from 10 countries around the world. So for example, I had, where is it? So some of the figures I had, so 11.3% of people only know of up to 3 female artists in drum and bass, which seems like a low number, but like the maximum was 10, and only 30% knew 10 people. So then you had 41% of people feel that women are poorly represented in drum and bass, and 75% of people felt that as a whole in the music industry, women are overly sexualized. So I had quite a lot of really good information to back up my point. So when I do have the final cut, I will be able to give real information from real people that are experiencing this. I'm not just kind of picking and choosing from Google, which I think was the main thing that I wanted to have. I didn't want to just go and do a Google search and say, well, you know, these are this, and get it from Wikipedia. So that really helped, and I did a lot of background research on how interviews are done and what kind of angles I wanted. You know, audio was a big thing. I did predominantly, most of my interviews were going to be outside, so I needed to get a mic that was going to kind of counteract the wind. Yeah, so there was a lot of challenges, a lot of planning went into it, and my research I think was probably my best part out of all of it, to be fair. And I think I have finished with this. This is a brief trailer which I've put together of what I've got, so enjoy.
I'd like to say that it is equal, but I'm still seeing lineups and it's like the ladies' room and stuff like that, or like female DJ night. Like, it's just, I don't understand why there's such a divide. I know it is definitely, you know, a male-dominated scene, but it is a shame when you still see things like, you know, take it over. change. Maybe this time, or maybe next time. Two lovers in an arms race. One is hard to make a change. Maybe this time, or maybe next time. Maybe this time. I'd like to say that
Go away.
there is equal.
And that's me. Any questions, please?
Yeah, that's
It's
good.
really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, you said that you did a lot of background research, which is really, really good. What is the ambience you're going for? Like, is it going to be very serious, or is it going to be more informative?
I think what I wanted real answers. Like I wanted it. I wasn't kind of like, for the interviews themselves. I wanted them to be very informal, very relaxed. Not like they were serious, and there were serious questions I was asking, but I wanted it to be as kind of relaxed and as natural as possible. And when it came, the reason I did the survey with the questions and the background research was because I really wanted to get a real response. The people that he was being sent out to were people that they go to parties, they buy people's music, you know. So I wanted to. This is a very serious subject, so I knew that it would touch a lot of people in ways that I had a few really like contradicting arguments. Like there was an area where I left other on some of the questions, and people were like giving like full paragraphs, and I'm like, this is a survey, this is supposed to take you 5 minutes, but it really gave me what I wanted. I wanted that realness. It's like I say, it's a sensitive subject, and I wanted people to give me a real response to it.
Yeah, that's good. So, watching this trailer, I saw that you have interview scenes and you have actually people working, and you just film them in the studio doing their work. So you're going to have a documentary, which is going to be a voiceover, and you're going to show different parts.
Yeah,
right?
so I asked all 5 of the girls. I asked them all the same questions. We kind of went off on a tangent on some, because it was more of a conversation than it was like a serious, like, you know, rigid interview, which is what I wanted. So yeah, like, I mean, obviously that was one of the girls. She's very, very new into the industry. She's only been DJing for about 6 months, so her view on it was actually quite naive, which was quite cool, because she has a view on it, but she's never really experienced anything like being over sexualized or, you know, touched appropriately at an event. She never played at a live gig. So whereas you had one girl that I interviewed who's been doing it for 5 years, and she's been touching appropriately. She's been, you know, had messages sent to her, and oh, you know, if you get your tits out, that kind of stuff. And it's like, so it was, yeah, the interviews were going to be the main point. I'm never actually talking over it. I didn't want there to be a male aspect in it whatsoever. The whole point of it is women in drum and bass. So I could have voiced it over. I could have given all these facts, but I didn't want to come at it from, you know, oh, there's a man doing a thing about a female. You know, I wanted it to be all them. It's all them. There's no male input. There's not a single male in the entire thing. It's all female, and that's what I wanted. So yeah, I got what I wanted out of that, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
I have
good.
a question about your final edit. So with the drum and bass, obviously you're playing in the background because it's about drum and bass. But how are you gonna play it in a way that it doesn't overpower what they're saying?
No, of course. I know. I just noticed hearing it from here on that trailer that I had the desired effects. I wanted it kind of coming in nice and
Fading in.
because it started. The music actually starts quite quiet when she talks, and then I wanted as her voice kind of the music drowns her out a little bit.
I see.
But then that's just for the intro. As it gets to the end of that and we start getting into the interviews, there will be no music. There'll be little cuts in between, like when you're showing B-roll and stuff. But the music was never going to be over. I just wanted it that sets the scene. It sets the motive from the beginning, and it'll probably finish with the exact same thing. It's a song that I own. It's done by one of my own artists on my own label, so that's again, I didn't have to get any clearance for that. I have the contract, it's mine. But yeah, it was never to be overpowering, and in the final edit it won't be like that. It will just be little cuts in and out. And if I do have it playing, it'll be quite softly underneath, just to keep that tone.
Yeah, you can keyframe it.
Yeah. It's the same thing. I with my show reel. I had Clare ask me the exact same thing when I was presenting for my show reel. Like I said, you know, I'm going to have a lot of music in it because it's me all over. But yeah, it's about finding that kind of, you know, keyframing the audio, bringing it up, bringing it down, and finding the right spot.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Well done.
I feel like I just waffled the entire fucking way through.